Welcome back to Andersen Acres. If you've ever dreamt of having goats that come when they're called, follow you around like dogs, or even walk on a lead, this video is for you. And yes, I am aware there are no goats behind me right now. That's because it's been raining on and off all day, so goats are pretty much allergic to the rain. Something you should know about goats. Most of them hate getting wet. So, in the barn. Arwen's in the barn. Hopefully she will decide to come out, but she's really not a fan of getting wet. And yeah, it's drizzling on and off. Doesn't bother me that much. It does bother her. So we're going to talk about goats, and maybe a goat will show up. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. But today we're going to talk about how to raise a friendly, well-behaved, and bonded goat. A goat that is a pleasure to be around. A goat that is gentle with you and with your children. A goat that you want to hang out with. Not a goat that you have to lock in a pen and tell everyone, don't go in there, she's mean. All right, we want to talk about a goat that is a pleasure to have on your farm. Because whether you're working with babies or earning the trust of adult goats, there are some simple things you can do every day that will make your life and your goats' lives so much better. So let's get started and talk about that. So goats are funny creatures, all right? You have to start with trust, and you have to start out with the intention of bonding to them. We're being joined by many, many animals. We're not going to worry about it. But you have to start out by trusting your goats. More than that, though, you have to initiate that bond. Your goats are not going to randomly show up at your front door one day and go, you know what, we hated you yesterday, but today we think we'll be friends. Goats don't do that. If you want to bond with your goats, you are the one who has to initiate it. Okay? First impressions matter. How you interact with your goats in the first few days after you acquire the goats or after they are born will set the tone for your relationship with them. And yes, we have animals walking behind me. Not a goat. I am hoping she'll come out of the barn, but she doesn't want to. And I don't want to film in the barn. It's dark. I don't have a light in there right now. Anyway, so the way you start out will really influence the nature of your relationship with your goats. Okay? First of all, if you're getting babies, if you're getting adults, a lot of this holds true either way. Do not chase them, especially the babies. Okay? But don't chase adults either. Don't chase. Get a chair, sit in it. Have some treats, so if somebody comes close enough to you, you can toss them a treat. Have some treats, so if they want to come right up to you, you can hand feed them that treat. Do not chase them. Okay? Goats are prey animals. If you chase a goat, it's going to run and it's going to be scared. And if it's a fainting goat, it might fall over. Okay? Arwen's a fainting goat. We don't chase. No chasing. Use a calm voice. Be a consistent presence and always bring something good. So what that means is basically you need to stay calm. You need to do this every day. Okay, you need to come out and visit your goats every day. You need to sit quietly, sit calmly every day. And you always have to have something great, something they're going to like. So it might be hay, it might be goat feed, it might be animal crackers. We like arrowroot biscuits because goats love the arrowroot cookies, the little arrowroot biscuits, you know, the digestive biscuits you feed to kids, feed to babies. Yeah, they like them. But find something they like. Okay, find something that they'll go nuts over. That's what you want to give them. You want to bring it with you every time. And you also need to be aware of how goats watch each other. Okay? All of the goats in a group pay attention to the other goats. You have to wait for one to trust you, and the others will follow. It's especially beneficial if that one that trusts you is the lead of the group, so the goat queen, the herd queen is typically how it goes. The one in charge, if you can get her to like you, you have a better chance of getting everyone to like you. So stay calm, focus on your relationship with the one who seems to be in charge, and everyone else will come along. Okay? You need to be patient though, especially if they're adult goats. So a baby goat that was born on your farm is a much different kettle of fish, because that little girl or that little boy was born there. You've had your hands on them from day one, and hopefully you have a good relationship with mama. Goats that you buy and bring to your farm are a different kettle of fish entirely. So you're going to have to be patient. And a lot of times I get asked, what is friendlier, a bottle raised baby or a dam raised baby? And honestly, there are pros and cons to each, okay? The pros and cons of bottle babies is, one, they're usually friendlier, but they're way more demanding. You are feeding them multiple times a day. The dam raised babies are more independent, but can still become really, really friendly. So if your doe raises her own babies, you can still make friends with them. It's just going to take some effort on your part. With a bottle baby, they're friendly almost by nature because you're raising them, but there's so much work. So it's a trade-off, right? You have to do work either way. I prefer to let mama raise the babies and bond with the baby. But if you have a baby that you don't want to make a bottle baby, you want mama to raise it, and you still want to have a thriving relationship with that goat, get your butt out there. Be out there every single day. Be handling that baby gently every day. Talking gently, just scratches on the neck, or talking in a sweet voice. This will build trust over time with any goat, baby or otherwise, but it will take time. So again, be patient. Now, if you want to train your goat to come to you, first you have to gain their trust. Okay? Once they trust you, you want to use treats because they are so food motivated. But you can use treats to teach things like come, stop, back up. They can learn their name. Arwen knows her name, except when it's lightly drizzling, which it is on and off right now. Except when it's lightly drizzling. If I call her, she comes a running, or as fast as Arwen can come a running. She's not fast. She's a fainter, and she's an extreme fainter. She has very stiff legs. So she comes as quickly as she can. It's not fast. But goats like physical attention as well, so they don't just like treats. You can get them to come for scratches, usually behind the ears or under the chin, not necessarily head pats. They tend not to absolutely love the head pats. Some goats do, but in general, I would say that goats prefer chin scratches to head pats. Okay? Either way, find something your goat enjoys. You need to start teaching your goat about space and personal boundaries, and you have to wait till they trust you to do that, because basically you use pressure. So you can use a halter or a leash, much like you would a dog, and teach them to give to pressure, or much like you would a horse. A lot of those principles are very similar. But if your goat doesn't trust you, they're going to think you're just trying to restrain them. So, and then they're going to freak out, and then they're going to hate you. So if you are hoping to train your goats to come to you when you call, but also to give you space and to give to pressure when you're walking them, but also follow you around like a puppy, you're going to need a crazy amount of patience. And you're going to need to gain their trust first. Okay? And if you have a goat that is doing things you don't like, you can't get rough with your goat. If you get rough with them, again, they're prey animals. If you get really rough with your baby goats, especially babies, but even adult goats, I call everyone a baby goat because Arwen's our baby goat, even though she's not a baby. She's a fully fledged adult. But, for example, jumping up. Maybe you don't want your goat jumping up. That's perfectly reasonable, right? Especially a larger goat. These guys, they're kind of big, they got horns, and they jump up, and they could hurt someone. So maybe you don't want your goats jumping up. You can teach them not to do that. You can. But you can't do it with force, okay? Goats do not respect using force. What you want to do is not reinforce the behavior you don't like. Okay? Turn away from the goat. So this is an example. Goat jumping up, turn away so that they fall to the ground. Reward 4 on the floor behavior. Okay? All 4 hooves on the ground, you get a snack. Jumping up on me, no thank you. Just turn away. Just walk away. If you have worked on building a relationship with your goat, they'll figure it out. Okay? They will figure out what you're doing because your behaviors will be consistent. Don't jump all over the place. Make sure what you're doing is consistent. Okay? And snacks. Snacks are the way to go 100% of the time. Goats are so snack motivated. The only thing more motivating than snacks is apparently this drizzle. Okay? Luckily, I am sitting under the canopy of the trees, so I'm not getting all wet. But there's a very light drizzle, and that will overpower treats every time. At least for Arwen. So whatever you're going to do with your goat, you want to start young. So whether you are starting just, I want you to trust me, I want you to love me, I want you to hang out with me, or whether you're actually trying to train your goat, start as young as possible. Okay? I started with Arwen at 3 weeks old. She was 3 weeks. She was very, very tiny. And we just started with basic presence, with picking her up, with loving on her, with making sure she wasn't scared. And that took some time. And after that, we started introducing halter and lead training. And when you are halter and lead training, you want to introduce it really slowly. You hang the halter, for example, on the fence post and leave it there. Ignore it. Just leave it there so the thing is not scary. It's one of the reasons we have a lead rope that's always draped around the post. If it's always draped around a post, none of the animals are ever scared of it. Okay? It is just a consistent thing. You always see a lead rope and halters all over the place. No need to be scared of them. You see them every day. It's fine. So that's one of the reasons we do that. So definitely make sure that they are as used to things as possible. Once they're used to the presence of something like your lead ropes and your halters, stick a halter on your goat and then just wait. They're going to be weird about it. Let's be honest. Goats are weird. And some people like to use collars. Arwen wears a collar, and that's mostly because her head has a funny shape and she doesn't have horns. So she can get halters off. So we use a collar for Arwen, but a lot of people like halters. I use a collar. And when you are getting them used to collars and halters, very short sessions. Okay? 5 minutes at a time. And the first time you do it, if they're not a baby, they're going to freak out a little bit. Yep. It's new. It's weird. I've never had a halter on my head in my entire life. What are you doing? It's weird. Okay? It feels weird. It's odd. So, yeah, you definitely want to go slow, do 5 minutes at a time. Calm repetition and positive reinforcement are going to be your cues here. Okay? Lead training, even if you are not going to do shows. So shows are obviously a big reason to have your goat at least partially trained and able to lead on a halter. But going to the vet, my vet comes to me, but some people have to take their goat to the vet, especially emergency vets. You want them to be well behaved on a lead. Public outings, maybe you want to take your goat to a fair or whatever. I've taken Arwen to a friend's house. They need to be able to behave on a lead. So even if you don't want to show, even if you don't think it's ever going to come up, just leading your goat around your yard is a good enough reason to make sure that you have got some control over your goat when they're on a lead or a harness or a collar. So what about pushy and unfriendly behavior, especially if you get goats that are not babies? It is incredibly easy to end up with a goat who is really, really pushy, because goats can be pushy. They can be very pushy and they can be kind of unfriendly. If your goat is doing things like headbutting people or charging gates or bullying herd mates, that's behavior that may need correcting. In order to correct it, you have to be gentle but very firm. So you want to do things that are very consistent, such as stepping into their space So if they are bullying their herd mates, stepping in between them and the herd mate, right? You step between them and the one they're bullying, and you make them back off. You move into them, right? I am in charge. I'm coming into your space. I'm not letting you go into their space. Same thing if they're headbutting a gate. No, we're not going to be near the gate. You claim that space. You move into their space. And then they become a little more used to not always getting what they want. That kind of thing. You might need to separate feeding for a little while till that goat gets a clue. It happens. Sometimes they need some time to get their head on straight. Maybe they just need a little alone time. That happens too. You never want to resort to hitting or yelling. That will not help. Okay, it'll just make your goat afraid of you. We don't want to make our goats afraid. We want our goats to love us, but also be well behaved. So there's a balance between I love everything my goat does and man, my goat is insane. You have to find a way to have that gentle, calm, loving relationship with your goat without your goat being an absolute menace to society. That's not a goat. That's Shadowfax. But at least somebody showed up. Arwen is still not going to come out. You'll notice he's a little wet. She doesn't want to get wet. So pay attention to your goat's body language when you are trying to get them to trust you, when you are sitting there and getting to know them. If their ears are back or their posture is really stiff, or they're kind of shoving you sideways, like kind of get away, get away, get away. These are clues that they may need a break, that maybe you're overwhelming them a little bit, that you're scaring them a little bit. Time to back off. We have had problem goats in the past. It has always been turned around by calm, patient love. Okay? And having firm boundaries. No, you're not allowed to climb on me. Arwen can climb on me. She's very little. But we've had goats that were bigger, and there's no way. Like my Lily, there's no way my Lily was allowed to climb on me. She was too darn heavy. I was going to get knocked over. So no climbing. So be patient, be calm. Okay? And the more time you spend just being around your goats, the more they're going to trust and respect you. Okay, and that is important. Spending time with your herd matters, and it matters way more than you might think. Incorporating goats into your daily tasks, like your fence walks or your garden tours or whatever, is a great way to build a relationship with them. If you are taking a tour around and checking all your fences, take the goats with you. They will learn that this is an activity we do together, and when you do activities together, you bond. So don't just lock them in a pen and leave them, right? Get to know them. Involve them in what you're doing. They will appreciate it. Personality, there goes a duck. But personality really starts to show when goats are relaxed and bonded. So you won't really know who your goat is until she trusts you. Once she trusts you, you'll know what her personality is because it'll bubble to the surface in a heartbeat. But at first, especially with a goat that maybe didn't have a wonderful past, so a rescue goat or something along those lines, it may take longer than you might be comfortable with. But persevere, relax, stay calm. Goats do come around. They want to be loved. They just don't always know how to express that. So get to know your goat. Take your time. Make sure you let them come to you. Don't chase them. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Drop a comment below if you've ever tried training your goats, or if you've got a particularly stubborn one that just won't warm up to you. I'd love to hear your stories and your tips for everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.